Backstage chaos has erupted, and if this is your first time joining us, I encourage you to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to always get updated. Because what happened after Monday Night Raw involving Oba Femi and Brock Lesnar is something WWE never wanted the world to see. Sources close to the situation are saying the air inside the gorilla position went cold the moment Brock Lesnar walked past Oba Femi, without a single word, without a glance, without even the courtesy of acknowledgement that most locker room veterans extend to a rising star. And for a man who has been carrying himself with the confidence of someone destined for the main event scene, that silence hit harder than any shove or shout ever could. Let's rewind for a moment, because to understand just how explosive this backstage moment truly was, you need to understand the build-up that had already been simmering for weeks. Oba Femi has been positioning himself as the most dominant physical presence WWE has developed in years, a man who doesn't just talk about being unstoppable, but backs it up every single time he steps into that ring. And Brock Lesnar, the beast incarnate, the man who ended streaks, broke legends, and turned WWE on its head more times than anyone can count, has never been the type to share a spotlight without making someone earn it the hard way. So when word started spreading that these two men were being quietly considered for a collision course toward Hell in a Cell at SummerSlam, most fans assumed it would build the traditional way, with mutual respect turning into rivalry. But what allegedly happened backstage after Raw tells a completely different story, one filled with tension that insiders are now calling uncomfortable and borderline hostile. According to multiple people who were backstage that night, the trouble didn't start in front of cameras. It started in catering, of all places, where several talents were unwinding after a grueling show. Oba Femi reportedly walked in still riding the emotional high of another dominant performance, greeted a few crew members, and made his way toward a table where a handful of veterans were seated. Brock Lesnar was among them. Now here's where things get interesting, because according to insiders, Lesnar didn't even look up. He kept eating, kept talking to the person beside him, and completely ignored Femi's presence, as if he wasn't even in the room. For most performers, that might not mean much. But those who know Brock Lesnar understand that his silence is never accidental. It is calculated. It is intentional. And when Brock Lesnar chooses not to acknowledge you, it sends a message louder than any promo ever could. Femi, according to sources, didn't let it slide quietly. He reportedly made a comment, lighthearted at first, something along the lines of testing the waters to see if Lesnar would engage. But when Lesnar's response came, it wasn't lighthearted at all. Witnesses say his tone shifted, his posture changed, and for a brief but unmistakable moment, the entire catering area went quiet, the kind of quiet you only get when everyone in the room senses something is about to boil over. What exactly was said in that exchange remains murky, because most of the staff who witnessed it have been extremely careful about repeating specifics, likely out of respect for both men or fear of backlash from creative. But what we do know, according to 3 separate sources who spoke to insiders under condition of anonymity, is that the exchange left Femi visibly frustrated and Lesnar visibly unbothered, which many believe was exactly the reaction Lesnar wanted to provoke. This is where the story takes an even more shocking turn, because just minutes later, Femi was seen storming toward a producer, reportedly demanding clarity on his upcoming schedule and specifically asking whether creative had any plans involving Lesnar in the near future. Now think about that for a second. Why would a rising star, someone who has been protected and built up as an unstoppable force, suddenly feel the need to confront a producer about his schedule unless something deeply personal had just occurred? Sources close to the production team say the producer gave a vague answer, the kind of non-committal response performers hate hearing, and that only added fuel to an already tense situation. Femi allegedly walked away frustrated, and within the hour, whispers began spreading through the locker room that something had shifted between him and one of the most dangerous men in WWE history. But here's where it gets even messier, because Brock Lesnar isn't exactly known for staying quiet when he feels disrespected either. According to a separate insider, Lesnar later made a comment to a fellow veteran, one that has since been repeated backstage in hushed tones, suggesting that he doesn't believe Femi is ready for what comes with sharing a ring with him. Whether that comment was meant as a genuine warning or simply an attempt to get under Femi's skin, the impact was immediate. People started talking. And once people start talking backstage, it rarely stays contained for long. Now, if you think this is just another manufactured storyline designed to build hype, you might want to pump the brakes, because several signs suggest this tension carries real weight beyond scripted television. For one, neither Femi nor Lesnar have addressed the incident publicly, which is unusual considering how aggressively WWE typically promotes budding rivalries through social media teasers or subtle promo hints. The silence itself has become deafening. And then there's the matter of Femi's demeanor during a live event appearance just days later. Fans who attended reported that Femi seemed noticeably more aggressive in his promo delivery, dropping lines that hinted at frustration with being overlooked, with being tested, with being treated as less than what he believes he has already proven himself to be. While he never mentioned Lesnar by name, the timing was impossible to ignore. Meanwhile, Lesnar's own recent behavior backstage has raised eyebrows among longtime WWE personnel. Several sources describe him as unusually engaged with younger talents lately, offering unsolicited advice, testing their toughness in training sessions, almost as if he's evaluating who deserves to be taken seriously and who still has work to do. And according to insiders, Femi's name has come up more than once in these private conversations, though not always in a flattering light. This raises a massive question that fans across social media have already started asking. Is Brock Lesnar intentionally trying to get inside Oba Femi's head before their potential collision at Hell in a Cell? Because if there's one thing Lesnar has mastered over the years, it's psychological warfare. He doesn't need microphones or scripted promos to dismantle an opponent's confidence. Sometimes all it takes is silence, a smirk, or a single dismissive comment delivered at exactly the right moment. And if that truly is his strategy, it appears to be working, because sources say Femi has become increasingly vocal backstage about wanting to prove himself, about wanting to be taken seriously as a threat rather than just a hyped-up prospect. Some insiders believe this shift in mentality could actually benefit him creatively, giving him a sharper edge heading into one of the biggest matches of his career. Others worry that Femi may be walking directly into a mental trap set by one of the most calculating performers WWE has ever produced. Adding another twist to this unfolding drama, a separate report surfaced claiming that a WWE producer attempted to mediate the tension by pulling both men aside separately to ensure nothing escalates further before creative finalizes their long-term plans. If true, this suggests that WWE officials themselves are aware of just how real this friction has become, and they may be walking a tightrope trying to protect the business relationship while still capitalizing on the natural heat this rivalry could generate. Now here's something else worth considering. Historically, when Brock Lesnar shows this level of engagement with a younger talent, it usually means WWE views that talent as a legitimate future centerpiece of the company. Lesnar doesn't waste his energy on performers he doesn't believe can eventually carry weight in a program with him. So while this backstage tension may look ugly on the surface, some insiders argue it could actually be the strongest sign, yet that WWE has enormous plans for Oba Femi's climb toward the top of the card. But that theory doesn't erase the discomfort many witnesses described feeling in that catering area. Because real tension, the kind that isn't manufactured for television, has a way of changing the entire atmosphere of a locker room. And several sources say that in the days following the incident, both men have been noticeably distant from one another, avoiding shared spaces, adjusting their schedules, and letting silence do the talking whenever their paths cross. If this rivalry is indeed heading toward Hell in a Cell at SummerSlam, then what we may be witnessing right now is the early formation of one of the most personal, most emotionally charged programs WWE has built in years. Not because of clever writing, but because two proud, dominant competitors may genuinely believe they need to prove something to each other and possibly to themselves. Before we get into how this story might unfold in the coming weeks, let's test your knowledge with a couple of trivia questions. First, can you tell me the exact number of consecutive matches Brock Lesnar once used to build his most dominant winning streak in WWE history? Drop your answer in the comments. And second, do you remember which event marked Oba Femi's first major singles victory that truly put him on the map as a future star? Let us know down below, because we want to see how many of you have been following his rise from the very beginning. Now back to the story, because there's one more layer to this that fans absolutely need to hear. According to a source with direct knowledge of internal conversations, WWE Creative has reportedly been debating whether to lean into this backstage tension by allowing subtle hints to bleed into television programming before officially confirming the rivalry. This means fans might start noticing small details, camera cuts that linger a little too long, backstage segments where the two men appear in close proximity without interacting, or commentary that references unspoken friction without directly confirming anything. This kind of slow-burn storytelling has worked brilliantly for WWE in the past, allowing real backstage energy to organically translate into can't-miss television. And if that's truly the direction Creative is heading, then fans should expect the next few weeks leading into Hell in a Cell to feel more intense, more personal, and far more unpredictable than a standard build toward a pay-per-view match. What makes this situation even more fascinating is the type of match format already being teased. Hell in a Cell isn't just another stipulation. It's a structure built for chaos, built for grudges, built for moments where competitors abandon strategy and let raw emotion take over. If there truly is unresolved tension between Femi and Lesnar, then trapping them inside that unforgiving steel structure could produce one of the most brutal, emotionally charged encounters WWE has seen in years. And let's not forget the pressure Femi now faces. Stepping into a program with someone like Brock Lesnar isn't just about proving toughness. It's about proving legitimacy on a level that very few young stars ever get the opportunity to showcase. If Femi rises to the occasion, this could be the defining moment that catapults him into the true main event conversation. But if Lesnar's psychological approach continues to rattle him, some fear it could expose cracks in his confidence at the worst possible time. Adding to the intrigue, a few fans who attended recent live events noticed something else worth mentioning. During entrances, several claim Femi has started making more intense, prolonged eye contact toward the entrance ramp whenever Lesnar's music hits on the big screen for recap packages, almost as if he's mentally preparing himself for an inevitable confrontation. Whether that's coincidence or subtle storytelling, it has only intensified fan speculation online. Social media has already exploded with theories, with many fans pointing out that this could be one of the most personal rivalries WWE has built in recent memory, precisely because it doesn't feel forced. It feels raw. It feels uncomfortable. It feels like something neither man can simply walk away from, especially with SummerSlam looming on the horizon and Hell in a Cell waiting to settle whatever has been brewing beneath the surface. So where does this leave us? With two of the most dominant forces WWE currently has under contract, seemingly on a collision course fueled by real tension, real silence, and real backstage discomfort that has spilled far beyond scripted storytelling. Whether WWE officially confirms this rivalry in the coming weeks or continues building it through subtle hints and unspoken friction, one thing is certain. When Oba Femi and Brock Lesnar finally step into that ring together, it won't just be a match. It will be a reckoning years in the making, shaped by real emotion, real pride, and a real desire from both men to prove exactly who deserves to be feared the most. And that, more than any script or storyline WWE could ever write, is what makes this situation impossible to ignore.